Hi, I am a person who lives in isolation. I've had basically no friends for almost 5 years. I talk to my mother once a week, but other than that, it's every few months I talk to a relative or something. So it's basically just me, and it was my dogs. Now it is just my dog. Um, that's, that actually to me doesn't seem so much like isolation when I'm with my dogs. But to some it might. I think most people need human connection or want human connection, or it just might be healthy for people to have human connection. There's plenty of studies saying the healthiest thing you can do is have relationships with others. So I'm not trying to convince anybody to go down this route, but I was going to explain a little bit of what happened to me early on. First of all, those studies, there have been other studies indicating that if what you choose is to be isolated, it's not nearly as bad as if you don't want to be isolated and yet are. That's when it becomes unhealthy. But if you choose to be isolated, then I don't think it's the same case. Like, I don't feel lonely. I don't feel as if I need to express myself to others. But these things, these are the things that were difficult at first. But after a while, I learned that there are advantages to being isolated. You get your own free time. Everything is basically yours except for work or whatnot. Um, you get your own thoughts. You don't have other people's opinions, emotions, drama coming into your head. Those are a couple things, but that's not actually what this video is about. So I just wanted to mention like one of the major things I went through early on in my isolation. One of the things that I noticed. So I used to be pretty social. I had friends. I talked to them a lot. If we weren't out on the weekends at the bars or something, we'd be playing video games with the headphones, whatnot. And one of the first things I realized, uh, this is a time when I quit my job, wasn't going to start working anytime soon, and also I quit my friendships, and I sort of quit my family. Again, I keep a relationship with my mother. I feel as if it's important. I mean, she did bring me into this world and all, and raised me. So I feel it's important to keep that relationship alive, even if it has been difficult over the years. But all the other relationships, I saw them as not what I would like in a relationship. I found them to be too negative, too opinionated, and I just didn't want that life anymore. I wanted a more positive life and I wanted to move in my direction. I didn't want anything judging me or holding me back or anything like that. And also, I wanted to move away. So, one interesting thing if you want to move away from your city, town, whatever, start by being isolated. I know it sounds strange because you would think, like, oh, I'm going to move in a year. I should spend all the time I have with my friends because I'm never going to see them again. But if you are having difficulties actually making that move, that could be the reason why. I mean, it's hard to just get up and move when you're so connected with all these people. So I found that being isolated like a year before I moved purposefully helped me move because at that point it was like, I don't really have any attachment to this place anymore. So moving is easy. Like, I thought nothing of it, really. It was incredibly easy. And it's the best move I've ever made, probably. Like, getting out of my home city is probably the best thing I've ever done. So I guess, that's a perk to it. But what I was actually going to say is like, so when I stopped talking to everybody, something weird happened in my head that I did not expect. Because when you have friends or family that you see often and you come across an idea, this idea could be new or it could be an idea that you discussed with your friend or family member. And so at that point, you try and have a fake conversation in your head with that person. And you would use the words that you would use with that person. Let's say, geez, I don't know, something political. Like you come up with a new political idea on like how you feel about things, and you typically have political conversations with your friend or family member, which I wouldn't entirely recommend. But let's say you want to express it to them. Before you do that, you're probably going to do it in your head when you come up with the idea. You'll be like, I'm going to tell Jim this or that in this way, and you'll have like a fake conversation in your head. So when you become isolated on purpose and you just stop communicating with those people, those conversations in your head just start to go away. And I really enjoy this nowadays because I'm not having all these fake conversations in my head. I'm not concerning myself with what Jim thinks. But at first, I had like some weird sort of psychological issue going on there because I did have ideas and things to say to other people at first, but I had no one to say it to. So in my head, it was a little confusing because it was like, it didn't really have anyone to have fake conversations with. So who was I having fake conversations with? Myself. Like that was a huge shift that I didn't see coming. And this actually caused a problem early on. Some weird sort of issue to where I would say things in my head and then my head would repeat the same thing that I just said. It was so weird. It was like some weird like echoing going on inside of my head, and it almost drove me mad. Like this happened for months, and I could not stand it because I don't like to repeat myself, but this was like a forced re- repetition of my thought that I just had, and I could not stop it for some reason. And I think it's all because I just didn't have an outlet to talk to people with my ideas about. So I didn't have an imaginative person to talk to with these ideas. So instead of doing that, it just sort of bounced off a wall or something. I'm not sure what happened, but there was a time there where I thought, gee, I might go crazy with this because I was out of control. It wasn't in my control. The echoing was not in my control. I tried to stop it so many ways, and it just would not stop until after a certain amount of time, then it did stop. But I thought I was going to go crazy. If that remained in my head, oh my gosh, I don't know. There's only like one trick that I found that helped it too, and that was humming, like, I would just like, if I saw the echo coming, I would just start humming and then it would just like silence my thoughts. I have no idea why or how, but I don't know. That's all I really could come up with. But eventually, it lasted maybe a few months or something. I didn't track it or anything. But it is something to note. I mean, if you plan on being someone who is isolated socially on purpose, you might have to deal with something like what I dealt with. It's not entirely easy, but I do think you can get over it. I do think it's just like a hump or a challenge or a hurdle that is something you can get over. I don't know if it's even going to be the same for you. I don't know. I don't know what it's like for other people, to be honest. I guess I could have looked into it, see if other people have the same challenges. But like I said, I'm 5 years in with this lifestyle. And I don't think I'm going to be like this forever. Eventually I should maybe try and find a girlfriend or something. I don't know. I really enjoy being isolated, but that's a whole nother story. I just wanted to get across the beginnings of it all. And you're going to have to learn to say no as well. You're basically breaking up with everyone in your life if you're going to be an isolationist. So they're going to invite you to things and you're just going to have to say no. And I don't know what your purpose would be for it. But like I said, there's many purposes for it. If you want to move, it's highly beneficial. It's like moving in your head before you physically move with your body. It also clears your head tremendously. You get to have your own thoughts. You get to be more creative. There's less clutter. You don't have to remember as much about everyone. Oh my gosh, if you're highly social, you have to remember all these senseless tidbits about everybody. And that just takes up so much space. So I guess I would recommend it if you want to become a more creative thinker or someone even that's just more yourself. Because all of these people that you're breaking up with, they're influencing you. Whether you believe so or not, they are. Anything that you communicate with influences you. Any person you communicate with influences you. Anyone you listen to influences you. These are all influences, and if you want to get rid of them, if you want to become more yourself, you have to get rid of them. You almost have to. I don't know if I should encourage everyone to be like me, though, but I'm sure there are people out there who are similar to me and could really find this advantageous. Sometimes in my life it feels like selfish to be like this. But I'm trying to better myself before I re-enter the world, before I re-enter socializing and civilization and stuff like that. So in a sense, I feel as if it is highly valuable for me to just take a step back, work on myself for 5 years, and then put myself back in the world. In a way, I don't think it's selfish. I think I've bettered myself in so many ways that when I do re-enter the world, I can do better for the world or the people around me. So I don't know, that's just a bunch of words about being on my own, I suppose. And like I said, I don't necessarily feel like I was on my own. For most of that time, I had two lovely Shih Tzus. And they're great companions. I wouldn't have traded the last 5 years for anything or anyone. So that was neat too. I got to spend more time with them. But yeah, I guess that'll do it for now. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later.